learning to dance the rumba. Up close and personal, what some call a cultural experience or people-to-people contact. Either way, it's what's brought these Californians to Cuba for private lessons.
For me, this is just amazing. This is just amazing. But really, anyone could come here and do it.
But not anymore if Donald Trump has his way. His newly announced policy promises to restrict U.S. trade and travel to Cuba, increasingly seen as a lifeline for the cash-strapped island. This, Cuba's very first luxury hotel, opened up earlier this month and is owned by the Cuban military, which is one of the main targets of President Donald Trump's new Get Tough policy, which is supposed to force the communist state to accept free and multi-party elections. Yet, anyone familiar with the Cuban government's reaction to U.S. pressure will tell you that in nearly 60 years, it hasn't worked and is unlikely to do so now. This former Cuban diplomat says Trump is unwittingly benefiting those who resist political and economic reforms.
The hardliners in Cuba are having a field day. They're saying, you see, the United States will never change. They will always want to hurt us no matter what.
While the new regulations to roll back on former President Obama's relaxation of sanctions against Cuba are still unclear and may not be out for months, they will have an economic impact. This hotel, managed by the American Starwood chain, for example, will likely find it difficult to operate. But some believe it could be worse.
I think Trump has announced measures that will be very difficult to execute, because he now has to create a whole structure that takes time. And he has bigger problems to deal with than Cuba.
Still, Trump has added a new layer of uncertainty over Cuba's future, 6 months before President Raúl Castro is due to step down. And his successor will likely dance to a similar tune, as relations with Cuba's powerful northern neighbor take a new step backwards. Lucia Newman, Al Jazeera, Havana.